We often hear as men that we're not supposed to be emotional, that emotions are for the weak. Um, Emotions will make you weak. Women hate emotional men. Um, all that stuff. Now, is it actually men that are emotional that's bad? Is it being emotional, or is it emotional expression, which is different? You can be very emotional but not express it. You can be suppressing it, right? So is it emotional expression, or is it the third one, emotional lack of control? You know, lack of control of your emotions, which could also be a person who is very unexpressive. Yes. You can have a man that's very unexpressive and yet his actions are dictated by his emotions. He is very emotional with his actions and his, because that's really what a man is defined by, is his actions at the end of the day. And your actions are going to, your choices and your actions are going to create your life. And these are the things that are the most important for any relationships or friendships that you're in, any human connections that you have in your life, jobs and everything. It all really depends on your actions. And so you can have men that are very uh, unexpressive of emotions, very stoic. One would consider stoic. And yet their actions are driven by exclusively emotions. And they have a lack of control over it. Their reason and their rationality and their logic does not override their emotions. They do not compartmentalize well. So be careful just be careful about judging a book by its cover. A man can always really be judged on what he does, on his actions, on the life that he lives, on his habits, on the relationships that he has with people, um, on his trajectory, on really just what's going on for him in his life. That's really what you want to look at. Don't don't get too caught up in if a man doesn't if he doesn't depict this idea that you have in your mind that you've got from all these masculinity videos online on Instagram and YouTube, telling you a man does this and a man does that and a man isn't this and a man isn't that and all this stuff, because you people lack the ability to think for themselves nowadays, and perhaps you're young and you just lack experience or whatever. So you're looking to, oh, how do I be a man? How do I get women? How do I whatever? Just be careful, because a lot of that stuff can make you just very suppressed. Because if you're trying to be, it's different for a man to be naturally stoic versus um, superficially, artificially manufactured stoic. See what I mean? If you're trying to be stoic, that is much different than actually naturally being it. Because in the one sense, you're actually very suppressed. You're repressing emotions about yourself. You're not processing them and expressing them in a healthy way. you don't understand them. You don't have a keen understanding of your emotions and a keen control of your emotions that only really come with one, experience, and two, well, experience, self-awareness, and energy, notably sexual energy. In my experience, it really does do wonders. So hold your nuts in, my guy. Um, but those three components, um, experience, life experience, you just need experience. Unfortunately, for these younger men, men are to to a certain extent made. You do have to just have experience. You have to go through certain things. You have to learn, and also self-awareness. You have to understand your mind. You have to understand what's going on between your ears. If you don't have control of that, then you're just going to be, you know, all over the place. And then three, energy. Energy is going to help with everything. Energy is going to help you process emotions. It's going to help you prioritize and compartmentalize because your organism is now um, uh, running in an optimal sort of level. It's self-maintaining, self-organizing, self self-calibrating, um, self-optimizing itself, and that's really not going to make sense to people that don't have experience with retaining sexual energy, with retaining energy, with trying to have certain habits that increase energy in their organism rather than deplete. So getting rid of, caffeine and drugs and weed and alcohol and all this stuff also really helps. Uh, so yes, you could have, going back to the example, you could have a man who is very stoic on the outside and yet is an absolute catastrophic mess on the inside. And it's on the, and as I've said before, what dictates what happens in your life is what's in here, what's inside. Don't matter the show that you put on. You can put on whatever show you want. But when the pressure rises, when you step outside your front door every day, what matters is in here. And that's the realness of you. I always speak about the realness of you. And it has to be real. Has to be. Because you know it when we all know it when we see it. We all communicate telepathically, whether we like to admit it or not. Most communication is telepathic. Um, that's why, you're either it or you're not. You're either it or you're not. So let others be the judge, right? Let life be the judge. Am I it? Am I it or am I not? And then on the other, so you could have a guy like that, or you could have a guy that's um, very expressive of his emotions. Maybe not your not your idea of what a man should be. Not your idea, but yet he understands that expressing his emotions is better than repressing them or suppressing them. He has a healthy understanding of, yes, he can express his emotions, but he understands that his emotions are not him, they're not permanent, they are fleeting, and yet he does have them. He's not a man who understands himself understands that he has emotions, and he does need to feel his emotions when necessary, and yet he has a firm control, a grasp of them. He doesn't let them get out of control. Because they can't, because he doesn't really, because he hasn't suppressed them. When you suppress something, when you're not allowing yourself to express certain things, when they do get expressed, they end up coming very undone. They end up becoming very extreme in their expression. Um, so it's actually very healthy to express emotions I believe, because you'll notice that they actually become less and less. Uh, you, it's almost like you feel them less and less. They become less and less of a heaviness, or you don't just doesn't really weigh as much. It doesn't last as long. The energy doesn't last. You know how the energy can kind of linger in your body when you're angry or when you're upset or anxious or whatever, fearful. It can linger. Well, you'll notice when you express, um, doesn't when you express often and in healthy ways, it doesn't linger, and it starts to dissipate over time. It actually gets quicker and quicker. The expression, and the expression isn't as heavy. You don't even really. What's interesting is you don't really even feel emotions as much anymore. I remember when I was very emotionally probably suppressed, trying to be a certain way, trying to not. I would always I would have this idea in my head that a man is never supposed to uh, that I'm above everything. I'm not supposed to express anything negative or be upset about anything for any moment of time. I'm always supposed to just be like zenned out and just chill and like a rock. And the crazy thing is, man, emotions were just killing me inside, and they manifested in my behavior. I was very out of control in certain behaviors in certain ways, and they do manifest in a different way. So they will express themselves just in your actions, and that's always unfortunate. You don't want them to be expressed in your actions. Um, so yeah, you never want to feel helpless, uh, because when you start retaining sexual energy, when you start becoming a very energetic vessel, when you start having experience, what you'll notice is people will start to hand you authority. What you'll end up noticing is actually people are constantly looking to give authority and power to the people that deserve it more than they do. That they somehow telepathically understand that this person is more well suited for this responsibility than I am. And they won't, that's not even something that they're going to process on that level. Not even close. They won't even understand it. They won't know. How they'll process it is, this is stressing me out. This guy or girl, maybe not, guy will, he looks like he can handle this. He can handle whatever it is. I'm gonna ask him, or I'm gonna get him over here, or I explain this issue or situation or whatever. I think I said this before, but it's like life don't make mistakes, man. Life wants to work through the most energetic, experienced vessels. So it just makes sense that everybody else that's a part of life, everybody else is not separate. They're all a part of life. They're going to facilitate this function. They're going to hand off responsibility and power to those that deserve it, that those that can carry that can handle it, basically. So what you'll end up noticing is when you start becoming a more energetic, experienced, uh, self-aware sort of organism, that you will be handed authority and responsibility, and you're just gonna have to. It The crazy thing is, it feels right now. It feels like, yes, this is how it should be. When people are looking, when they have a problem and I need to fix something, I just fix it. I don't even think like, oh, why is this happening? Why is this a problem? Oh, man, well, why did you do this? Like blaming them, like as if that would do anything. But like if it was their fault or if it was somebody's fault or we could put blame on somebody, that's not even in my mind anymore. I don't have no. Well, we don't have time for blame. We don't have time for complaining. Let's just find a solution. And that's really how I think men should operate is you never should feel helpless. You never should feel like you want to give authority to another person. We often have um, these sort of inclinations, and it's almost like a reflex in jobs, in an employment environment. Uh, you have this. It's just so quick. You'll just hand off authority. Like something happens, it's a stressor, it's a lot. You give it to somebody higher than you. Oh yeah, they can handle it without ever like without ever for 1 second thinking about, wait, can I handle this? I think it's so crucial. And that's what starts to happen when you start to gain more energy and you start to naturally, you don't even think that way anymore. You're just like, I think I can handle this. Let me try to handle this. Let me try to handle this. And if it's wrong, I'll ask for forgiveness rather than permission. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. Let's see what happens. Can't be that bad. And honestly, it's wild how this stuff happens, man. This is coming from a life where, trust me, I know the opposite side of this coin. I know how it feels to be a person that is helpless. That not only is helpless, but actively, it's almost like I used to actively uh, try to make myself feel helpless, which is insane. I would, but really, it wasn't that. I was just a very energy depleted organism. I was quick to stress, easy to stress, lack of emotional control, lack of self control. There would be so many situations in life and in jobs where things get a wrench gets thrown in the mix. Something wrong happens. A mistake was made. There's a it's a stressor and now somebody's upset or my car broke down or this happened or this wasn't delivered on time or whatever. So many things, and man, I wasn't equipped to handle it. Just point blank period. And I would make up all these, because I wasn't equipped to handle it and I didn't have the energy. I would make up all these ideas and conjure up all these excuses and rationales for why things were happening to me, or it was somebody else. It was always somebody else's fault, or it was the car's fault, or it was a bad car, or the manufacturer, or it's the guest's fault, it's the customer's fault, they're just stupid, or why are you talking like this, or why that, all this stuff. Why didn't this department do this? Why didn't this department do this? You see how it was so, I know that people watching this, people like this. This is most people. When you encounter stressors and difficult things in your daily life, there's so many people that are so quick to complain about the situation without offering a solution. They're not solution based, they're not solution oriented, for the simple fact, and they don't know it, but for the simple fact that they just don't possess that experience or that energy yet. They don't have the self-control, the self-awareness, the experience, or the energy to understand that it's almost like the situation is happening for them, not against them. But they don't see that yet. And these situations, man, it's like the cream always rises to the top. Whoever is most well equipped to deal with these situations usually is going to get the authority thrown at them. And oftentimes, sometimes it's really unfortunate when the most the most suitable this is so funny. The most suitable person for handling a problem, handling a stressor, is problem solving. The most suitable person is actually not that suitable at all. That's a very unfortunate environment to be in because everybody's kind of helpless and everybody's kind of running with their heads cut off. And even the person in power is not really that great. And those people are often not respected. They're not taken seriously. They feel like an imposter. They're disrespected because they disrespect themselves. And a lot of times people can get to positions of leadership and get promoted to higher positions and stuff like that uh, because of whatever politics or they know somebody or anything like that. And unfortunately, these people get exposed, and it's not always the people in power are supposed to be there. Just know that. It's very weird when you start to gather energy in yourself, when you start to become a more energetic organism, that you actually start to realize that it's almost like you're seeing through them, and you can actually do things more efficiently than the people above you can, and the people that are supposed to be telling you how to do it. You actually know how to do it better. So just know that's gonna happen. But man, life doesn't make mistakes. Um, we all know it when we see it. People know it. And this is the thing, when you start becoming more energetic, you're going to see how people not are throwing this authority and power at you, giving you, hey, I just need a decision made. A lot of times it's people that just, sometimes it's not even a problem solving type situation. Sometimes it's so simple as people just want a decision made for them. They don't even have the energy to make a decision. Wow. Wow. You don't even have the energy. You don't even want to make a decision. You don't even want to make a choice. Okay. That. How about that? Do that. That one. Yeah, okay. Dude, I swear. This shit's hilarious. It's crazy when you see this stuff, man. It's crazy when you see this stuff. People don't even want to make a choice. You make it for me. Make my choice. Choose it. I'll be man, this happens a lot at both of my jobs. Yeah, do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? I'll get customers and they'll just be like, just follow my lead. Just, you know, every now and again you get somebody that's, they're energetic. They know what they're doing. So it's nice to kind of, we kind of compete in a little way, but there's an appreciation there too. There's appreciation because they see, um, because real recognize real. You know what I mean? Real recognize real. But man, it's crazy. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. And the people that are trying to make your life more difficult. There's so many people that are trying. Again, going back to how people like to complain and they like to tell stories and I'm a victim of this situation that's happening to me. There are people like that you come across in your daily life that I come across at work. I go with front desks and concierge. I come across them all the time, and most of them are pretty helpful. They kind of just keep to their own thing. They let me kind of do my thing. But some of them, if there's ever a problem or ever like some sort of thing that we need to, work around or whatever, they tend to make it more of an issue. It's almost like they try to stress me out. They try to make my life more difficult. They try to, it's like they don't, they want to create more problems for themselves, it's like, and I can't do it for them. I'm like, no, I will not make a problem for you. I'm going to solve this. I'm going to make sure that this customer gets this. I'm going to solve this thing. I'm going to make this happen despite you, despite your trying to throw a wrench in the mix. There are people like that, and you definitely start to get a keener eye for those types of people. But yeah, uh, it's so interesting how the more energy you sort of build up within yourself, the more experience, the more self-awareness, control, people, you're either, it's like people know. So you don't have to explain it. It's like you don't have to prove nothing to nobody. You don't have to show up a piece of paper that shows like how you're qualified to handle things and, oh yeah, I'm fit for this. Like, no, people just, it's like they just intuitively know, I swear to God, and they don't even know it. They don't even know it, but they intuitively know it. But they don't consciously know that they know it intuitively like that. It's like they don't understand that all this is going on. This whole like energetic delegation. It's just energy delegation. That's all it is. Like, who's the most energetic right now? Who can handle this? Okay, just what do you? Well, we'll do what you do. We'll do what you say. We'll do what you want to do. You know. Uh, yeah, it's just pretty wild. Pretty wild. Um, but yeah, I think that's it. You just know it when you see it. So don't get too wrapped up in this information that you've consumed about how somebody's supposed to be or somebody's supposed to act. What a man's supposed to be. Oh, does he check all the boxes of all this information that I've consumed? Does he do this? Does he do that? Blah 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 blah. It's too that's too much in the mind. That's too intellectual. It's more you feel it, right? It's like you sense it. You sense these things. It's a feeling, it's an intuition. Something more subtle. Something more subtle because the more obvious stuff, the more obvious it is, the less it matters. Mm, yeah. The more obvious it is, the less it matters. What what people say, like what they're saying, you know, how they look, what they're doing, all this stuff, their expressions and stuff like it don't really. There's more. Yeah, I guess it's just more subtle than that. Don't pay attention to that. Although it takes subtle to know subtle, doesn't it? Yeah, probably. Takes subtle to know subtle. I mean, you even know it even if you don't. Intellectually, you'll be telling yourself one story, and then intuitively, you'll be telling yourself a different story. But that's not a story. That's actually just, yeah, this is what is going on. It's almost like that's your signal, and yet it could be at complete odds of what's going on in your mind. You might feel some way towards somebody. Have you ever really enjoyed somebody's company? You like being around them. You don't know why, but in your mind, all your intellectual mind is telling you like I don't why do I like this why do I like this person? I don't think I like that. I don't like people like this. Yeah, he or she does this and that, and it's just wild. Why they talk a lot of all this stuff, but you're drawn to them. You see what I mean? Different. There's something different going on. Either it or you're not. All right, that's it.